Hello, wonderful kids, children, students, whatever you want to call yourselves. Today we are back into it with some more math. Now, the last couple days we've been talking about customary units, which are the ones we use here in America. And now we're going to be talking about the units that basically everyone else in the entire world uses. And you will find out why soon, but it just makes much more sense to use these units. I highly recommend knowing them. They're what we use in science. If you want to do anything in the science or doctors or anything like that, you're going to want to know metric units. So let's talk about different types of metric units, common units we see, things we hear. So let's just jump right into it. Again, just like customary units, there are 3 different types of metric units, categories of units that we're going to be dealing with, and we're going to make another beautiful table to talk about each of those types of units. I'm going to make it a little different this time because I'm going to give you, actually I don't want to do a downward line. I'm going to give you an example as we're going through. Okay, so then here's, that's too big. I'll go here, we'll do one like this. I'll have the biggest space on the end here. I'll just go through, make some tables as we go. Actually, I don't want that one. I want then this one. All of these are going to be length based. Remember, length with customary was things like feet, inches, yards, miles, that good stuff, things to measure distance. There is length, and we'll get into others as we go. But the main unit, so each of these units has one main unit and then a lot of units that have different prefixes. Now, if you remember prefix from English, that's if you have a word, this is a prefix is the word that goes before the word. All right, so this right here would be the prefix. So in metric units, we have a lot of prefixes to describe how the root has changed. We'll understand that more as we go. But we have our main unit of measure for length is called a meter. A meter is our main unit of measure, and a meter is about the width of a doorway. So if you think about a door, if you can see a door right now where you're sitting, look at how wide that is. That's about a meter. Meters and yards are very similar, just a few inches off. But that would be a meter, would be the width of a doorway. Now, that means all of our other words are going to involve the word meter, but have a different beginning. So you might have heard something like a millimeter. That is something that we have, and this is about the thickness of a dime. So if you have any change lying around, you pick up a dime is about as thick as a millimeter. The thickness of a dime is like a millimeter. And then we have centimeter. And this is about the width of your finger. So how wide your finger is, that's about a centimeter. Okay, so when we're dealing with centimeters, they're about as wide as your finger are. And then we have a kilometer. And a kilometer is about the length of 10 football fields. Okay, so a kilometer is the length of 10 football fields. All right, these are the main units we use with meters. Length. Meters is how we measure length. Okay, so these are the ones we do. And if we look, we can see the prefixes here. We have kilo or kilo. We have centi, and we have milli. And I'm sure as we're going through, we will see these pop up again in other units of measure. Now, that is length. Remember, length is only one of the three. We have a couple others. This one I'm going to go here. Oh, I don't know why that didn't work. Here, make my table longer. 1, 2, and 3 different units for weight. Now, does anyone know the root word for weight? Weight, the thing that we mostly use is a gram. Gram is the root for weight. And so a gram is about the mass or weight of a small paperclip. I'm sure you've all held a paperclip or picked up a paperclip at some point. That weighs about a gram. Now there's also something called a milligram. And this is the mass of a grain of sand. And you're wondering, why would you ever measure the grain of sand? Remember, a lot of the things that are used with metric are science-related, involving atoms and things that weigh so much less than even a grain of sand. And so it's good to have units for those really small weighted objects. All right, so milligram, gram, we also have kilogram. And this is the mass of a textbook. Mass of a textbook. And that gives us a couple of reused prefixes here. We've got kilo and milli. They'll show up again. Now, finally, we have our last grouping of measurements. And this one, does anyone remember what this one is? Yes. Capacity. Capacity, how much something can hold. Now, we've seen meters and grams. Does anyone know the root for capacity? This is liter. Liter, and that just is marked with an L. So liter, and this is about a large water bottle. A large water bottle holds about a liter. I think if you go to the store and you see like the big cans of soda, those are called 2 liters because they have 2 liters worth of liquid in them. Liter is that. Now we have a milliliter. Milliliter. A lot of L's and I's in that one. Milliliter. And that is about the amount of liquid in an eyedropper. Have you ever put eye drops in and you like drop it into your eyes? That would hold milliliters. You would measure that in milliliters. I just like as I'm making this video, I just like motioned like I was dropping in my eyes. I realized you can't see me, so that made me look really foolish. That would be a milliliter. And then we have a kiloliter. A kiloliter. And that is about the capacity of 2 large refrigerators. Wow, I struggled writing the word refrigerators, but a kiloliter is about 2 large refrigerators worth. So if you were to just like think about, I'm going to dump a bunch of water into my fridge at home, and then I'm going to dump a bunch of water into another fridge, that would be about a kiloliter of water. All right, so these are our units, our common metric units here. I don't really remember what the sun is for, so I'm going to get rid of it. Those are our common metric units. All right, now let's talk about when we would use these. What if we wanted to measure the length of a car? What would we use to measure the length of a car? Well, millimeter. Do you want to measure a bunch of thicknesses of dimes? Probably not. A car is not 10 football fields long. We would probably use a meter. What about the mass or weight of a skateboard? Well, we would use most likely not kiloliter, kilogram. We would use kilograms because a skateboard weighs more than a textbook does. Maybe not our math textbook, but like a normal textbook. We would use kilograms to measure the mass of a skateboard. A lot of weight of things that are bigger than a small paperclip. Right? Think about the normal gram is a small paperclip. So most big things you would measure using a kilogram. And then finally, what about the amount of baby Tylenol for my baby Elena? How much should I measure with that? Should I give her the amount of a large water bottle full of drugs? Probably not. 2 refrigerators full of drugs? Absolutely not. I would measure that in milliliters. Okay, so it's good to know how to measure these things. All right, so we will talk more about this. We're going to talk about some conversions tomorrow. Converting with metric is much easier than converting with customary. So if you had a hard time with customary, metric is easier, makes a lot more sense. I will see you all tomorrow.